Hi guys, this is Eric, the developer of this asset, and I just wanted to make a quick tutorial on how you guys would set this asset up in your project. So this is a simple third-person template map that I have here, and so let me give you some info about this asset first. So this asset, I wanted to make this asset because I just wanted simple inventory system to use because most of the other inventory assets in the Fab store are a bit too complex and have unnecessary features that I won't even use. So I just wanted to make something, quick and easy, drag and drop. Yeah, able to run out of the box, and you don't really need. I don't want anything to be too difficult to do. Hopefully, this tutorial video is easy to follow. I'll try my best. And so let's begin. The first thing we have to do is, of course, create a project or use whatever project you have and import the easy inventory system for beginners asset. So it just contains these files, and these files include the core files here. This inventory component that handles most of the functions of this asset. There's some sorts here, objects, enums. There's some interfaces that are used for this asset. Some blueprint function libraries there. These are the core widgets that makes up the inventory grid widget. There's also a sample data asset here that you can use. If you don't have any item systems or item data asset set up, you can use this as your foundation. There's some miscellaneous items here for just sound effects when you're picking up and placing items. Let's first start by creating our item data asset. So this system is based on data assets, so your items must be data assets in order to use this system. So you can create your own data asset. You can do that right now, but if you have like an existing item data asset system that you have going on, you can definitely use that too. I made it so that data asset setup that you have for your items can still work with this inventory system. We can use the sample data asset that I have here, but just to show you that you can use any data asset, let's create our own. So let me create an empty folder here. This is for the tutorial video. Okay, let's create a primary data asset. So you create a blueprint and type in primary data asset. Okay, now I'm gonna name it PDA tutorial item. So this is your data asset, and now this is the empty data asset. So I guess first what you would do is go to class settings and import the interface EISFB, data interface. So with that, you can see here a bunch of functions showed up in the interface tab over here. And these are all the functions that are needed to display the item in the inventory widget. So, and also for, the functions. So you got max stack, the icon, the description, the name. So next you'd have to do is create some variables. To make this simpler, I'm just gonna go to each function, then right click here, promote the variable. Now I have the variable here in my data asset. So I'm gonna do this for all functions. Okay, let's just start with this first. This is good. Our item data assets are ready now. Let's create a simple item. So right click data asset, search our primary data asset. Okay, and let's create a test item. Let's type in max stack. Let's say I want the max stack of this to be 10. The icon. Let's just create our own. Just open up Paint. Okay, let's just draw an apple here. Simple apple. Okay, got a circle. Amazing. And let me draw the leaf here. Yep, that is great. Okay, let me just let me just test item image, export it. Obviously, if you have your own icons already, you can just use those. But just import my newly created paint item here. This is the best looking apple. Okay, yeah, I called it test item. Just look for it here, test item. Okay, say the item description is tutorial item to test EISFB functionality. The name is test apple. Okay, so got that down. This is enough for our items for now. We can start with that. So since this is a third person template, we have a default character here already. So let's just use our default character for simplicity. So I'm gonna add the inventory to that third person character. So we go to the third person character here, open them up. So to add the inventory component, you just have to press the add button here underneath the components panel and type in EISFB inventory component, and that should be good already. Okay, then you go to the right side over here. You can see a setup tab, and this is the most important part. So you can just type in the inventory size. So let's say I want the inventory size to be 10, max columns. So inventory size is like how many slots there are in the grid. And max columns is how many columns will your grid be until to move to the next row. So for example, if you have a 10 by 10 inventory size, then you put in 5 columns here, 5 max columns. That means you'll have a 5 by 2 grid, so 5 in columns, 2 in row. I'm gonna just create the once we get the widget showing up, I can change this variable so you can see what I mean clearer. Okay, the name, this is optional. I just add a name here just in case you want to name the inventory component. This is good for like displaying it in the UI. For example, I can name this to the player hotbar. And then this is the name of it. It's completely optional. You don't have to even use this if you don't want to. So this is filter. So basically, this is like a whitelist and blacklist system. Any item that you created, you can add it here. So for example, the item that you created, see the DA test item. So you can add as much items that you want here to filter. And there's an option here, filter type. So all the items that you see in this array can be allowed only. So it means only allow these items to the inventory. And only ignore this. You can change it to only ignore these items. But can dive in deeper into that later. Once you're done setting up your inventory component, first find a way to display this to our game, of course. So right now I don't have a widget, so I'm going to quickly create a widget. I need a canvas widget to show in the screen. So to access the widget in the inventory component, you can just drag a reference to it and call the function construct inventory widget. So this is the function that constructs an inventory widget, and you get a reference to the constructed widget here. I can show you that in a bit. Let me first create a canvas panel that will show on the screen and a container where you can place this widget that's created here. Okay, let me just quickly create a widget blueprint. Okay, let me just add a canvas panel here. Okay, then let me just create a simple container. Maybe a size box will work. Any widget, UMG widget that can contain stuff can work here. Let me just use a size box. Just drag it here in the middle. I want this to be a hotbar, so I'm putting it the lower middle here of the screen. Okay, I think that should be good to go for now. Where's the detail spot? Okay, here. You just set the alignment to 0.5 and 0.5, so the widget will be aligned right in the middle. Okay, so once that's done, let me get a reference to it. So we want to create this widget and display it on the screen first. I would do that for the sake of simplicity. I'll just do it here in the game mode blueprint. Get the event begin play, and I'll just create the widget WBP HUD. So widget I created. Okay, and get the size box, reference to the size box. So let me just change this to a variable. Now let's get size box. By the way, if you have any trouble following, you can always rewind the video. That's why it's good to have tutorial videos. You can always go back to it. So now that we have a reference to the size box, we can get the function add child. So this will add the widget to the size box. Let me just do it like this. So I'll create a variable of the widget, get the reference to it. So HUD reference. Okay, this is in my game mode. So let me see if my game mode set up correctly. Okay, it's actually using the right game mode. And now let's go back to my third person character here. This is the event begin play. Let me just drag out a pin here, an extra pin. And let's get a reference to the game mode. So get game mode. And cast it to the third person game mode. Okay, now I'll get the reference to the widget, the HUD widget. So WP HUD reference. And from here we can get the size box. Okay. Let's add child. Okay. So between this, let me plug in the construct inventory widget. Drag it here and here. Let's make it a bit neater. Okay, now plug in this widget to the content for the size box. Forgot to add this widget to the screen, so add to viewport. Okay, so yeah, it's shown there. Let me just change its position. So let me just make this size box size the content, and let's see. Let's figure out what's going on. Okay, it's better to just check here size the content so it'll fit your widget better. Inventory widget. So there, you can see in the bottom screen that's the inventory widget, and that basically displays all the items that are inside the inventory component. It's updated in real time, and so you don't really have to do anything. This widget will work already once I add items. Let me do that right now. So in the inventory component, let's call in a simple function add item. Okay. And let's just put it at the end here, and let's add our test item, set the amount to 1. There, boom, that's our test item, but unfortunately you can't see the number there because the icon is white. We can fix that right now. Let me just change the backdrop to black or gray. Yeah, that's good. Save that again. Let me just import it again here. Obviously, it would be better to use a transparent image, but yeah, this is fun. Why not? Okay, so let's just change the item here to the icon. Hit start again. There, get your item, and you can see the amount it currently has. And you notice there's one problem right now. Your mouse cursor is not in the screen. So obviously, in order to interact with the inventory, your mouse needs to be visible on the screen. So let me just go to the HUD widget blueprint, get player controller, and set show mouse cursor. Okay. So make this simply just like this. This is good. Okay. And there mouse cursor is visible. I can hover over my item. It shows me the name, the current amount, it's max tag, so 1/10. Also the description, so tutorial item to test ESI. Okay, they spelled that wrong. Anyway, functionality. So I just used the default tooltip here. Obviously, you can change it if you want because the blueprints is accessible. I mentioned in the documentation how you would change this in the blueprint comments too. So if you want to change the tooltip, let me just go through that right now. So this is of course, go to the widgets. This widget here, EISFB item content, is the one that's going to display the content of the item. So the icon, the amount, and there's a display at the back, image at the back here that will show up whenever you're hovering over it. So how you would change your tooltip is go to the root widget and tooltip. Yeah, you can change your tooltip widget here and set that up however you want. Okay, so that's kind of it to set it up. It works already. Let me show you how it would look like to change the inventory size. Let's set the inventory size to 20 and change the max columns to 10. So it's bigger. Can also change it. Let's say I want the max columns to be 3, so there's only 3 columns. And yeah, it will definitely cut off. So you can really change the inventory size to however you want. That's it for this part. Setting up is done. So what we did was create an item data asset and implemented the EISFB data interface and created the variables. Then that's done. We created a simple item here. That was it. We just filled out the data here, create as much items as you want. Then we go to any actor, add the inventory component, change the size, columns, name, and other settings here. And then we just created a simple HUD widget, show it in the screen. Then from the inventory component, we call the function construct inventory component. The output pin here, we added that to the size box that we created earlier. And also, as you can notice, there's settings here for constructing the inventory widget. So slot number type. So none means you don't see the slot number. Yeah, let me just change that to something better. Let me change the size again. Okay. So slot number type is how you want the slot numbers to show up in your inventory widget. So if we do ascending, it starts at 1, then goes to the last one, which is 10. Can do descending, starts at 10, then goes until the last. So yeah, descending makes sense. Follow num keys. So what this basically does is kind of simulates the num keys in your keyboard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then 0. And yeah, that would be useful. For example, you want to create a hotbar, which what we're gonna do. So I'll leave it like that. And also there's another one last here. Follow slot ID, which is basically starts at 0, then shows you the slot IDs, which are useful for referencing. For example, let me show you. Let's create another function, add items to slot. Add item to slot. Okay, we have the function add item to slot. And it's basically the same as add items, but you can specify what slot you want that to add that item to. Show you where slot 1 is first. So that's slot 1. We want slot 1 to have that. And the item type, let's just put their apple and let's set the amount to 10. And now in slot 1, we get 10 test apples. And drag them. By the way, left click drags all of the items, right click drags one of them. Right now, shift click, we can't shift click since we don't have any other inventory widget to shift click to, but I will get to that in the next parts. Okay, yep, you can swap it. Okay, nice. So this is it for the first part, which is the quick setup. I mean, hopefully I didn't yap for too long. That's kind of it for setting it up quickly. So the next chapter of this video is basically setting it up so that we can select an item in our, because this is a hotbar, right? A player hotbar, and we want, like in most other games, let's say Minecraft or Schedule 1, you can select an item in your hotbar by scrolling your mouse wheel or pressing the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 to in your num keys and to select the right number. And yeah, let's do that first so you know how that works, and I can show you what selecting slots are.